Talks Radio.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Pastor Mai, good afternoon. If you were listening to yesterday's Mannin Line, Dr. Chris Stockport was on, interim chief exec for Manx Care, previously medical director. I just wonder, we were talking about many things yesterday and lots of follow-up on that. But if you want to talk about it, by all means do get in touch, or anything else, because it's an open line today. A note in from Stephen, who said, I'm a dialysis patient. This is about renal dialysis, and I can't praise the nurses in the renal unit enough. They're great. It's very challenging, especially since December, for the unit when the cottage hospital closed and the dialysis patients from there needed their treatment at Nobles. Extra sessions in the evening have had to be introduced. Despite this, my experience of care has been excellent. The situation is no doubt frustrating for Ramsay patients and all staff. The nursing staff look after us with a smile and plenty of good-natured banter. I hope the senior management really appreciate the wonderful renal nurses. Just one of the comments in from yesterday, and thank you for that, Stephen. More that came in yesterday, and they were saying, let me find yesterday, and you say, could you ask why there are so many matrons? Do they need that many matrons? Not as forward-facing. Why can't they be hands-on? Well, I think they brought the matrons in because everybody complained there weren't any sisters. So they brought the matrons in there, the ladies in bright red, if you go to the hospital, presumably to do what people ask for. DNR as well, and that came up quite a bit yesterday. Has DNR appeared on people's files without their permission? Well, Dr. Stockport gave the version and just said sometimes DNR is put on when people are going in for procedures, and it may be, and I don't know, put words in anybody's mouth, but it may be that somebody who's going in for a life-threatening operation perhaps would perhaps say, you know, if the worst comes to the worst, don't resuscitate me. It may then be that that person's relatives disagree. So you're kind of caught in the middle. If you've got any thoughts on this, and it's a vexed subject as well, there are many people who've seen DNR on their notes when they didn't know anything about it. Do Manx Care, this is one that he addressed yesterday. Do Manx Care charge for A&E treatment of sporting injuries, which should be claimable under club insurance policies? And a message in from Simon, who just said, "This we didn't have time for this yesterday, and again, it's been asked many times, when is the private patients unit coming back at Nobles Hospital?" Many people, thousands of people on the Isle of Man, have private health insurance as part of their terms and conditions with their salary. But there isn't a unit on the Isle of Man. You have to go off the Isle of Man for private treatment usually. So when's it going to happen? Well, nobody's really sure. And perhaps it's going to be something that'll be discussed in the general election as to, are we going to have one or not? If we're not going to have one, then perhaps the politicians should just tell us that we're not going to have one and everybody can make alternative arrangements. Or if we are going to have one, when's it going to happen? And again, just regarding DNR as well, I was listening to the Manx Care. This is Anna who just said I was listening to the Manx Care man talking about DNR. I think it's disgraceful that this happens. Well, we don't know the ins and outs of it, but Dr. Stockport gave his version of how it happens. And I don't know. I've never been in that situation. Have you? If you're in a life-threatening situation, what advice would you give? I know it's a heck of a question. Any thoughts on that? What do you think about this Douglas City Council artwork that's going to be happening along the promenade seawall. Douglas City Council will be providing £16,000 from its reserves to the DOI, which has admitted the cost from its budget. Basically, they're going to paint the promenade, this grey promenade wall that's there. DOI didn't put it in, so Douglas City Council put £16,000 in. The councillor, Charlotte Traynor, says the seawall is important for protecting the capital, and the new artwork is going to make it a lot more appealing. Charlotte Traynor.
Ultimately, everybody's got a responsibility to care for our local area. And while it was a DOI project initially, and is unfortunate that there was an oversight in the budget, it's been a real pleasure for the council to be able to step in and make sure that we are able to complete this really important project. Not only are we trying to support local artists and ensure that their really good work is put out there, but we're also, I think, contributing to a really vibrant city centre and a culture on the promenade that is going to be something that we can all be really proud of.
It's established that it's going to cost £16,000 to do this. So what will that money go towards specifically then for the promenade?
So the £16,000 is going towards the manufacturing and installation of the artworks, which DOI has calculated for us and unfortunately was just omitted from their original budget. So because the very large part of this project has already been completed by DOI and funded by DOI, it was the council's decision to step in and just try and get that last bit over the line to make sure that we weren't leaving those artists without anywhere to put their artwork, so that we can contribute to the full creation of the sea wall as intended by DOI initially.
The council is really keen to see that seawall extended. Is extending the art project something you'd like to see all the way across if the seawall does get extended?
Yeah, I think that would be fantastic in the longer term plan. I think we hopefully are starting a really good collaboration with DOI and using this as a springboard to help finish the completion of the seawall so that it's protecting the entire promenade, including all the marine gardens, to really give those sea defences the maximum chance of working. And of course, if we were able to have the artworks extended across the whole promenade, I see nothing but benefit.
Charlotte Traynor there talking about extending the sea wall. What they're saying is bang goes the sea view, basically, because if the sea wall is solid, you won't be able to see that. It'll save them having to mend the rails, but the sea wall, would you like to see it improved with art? This is £16,000, and if it is going to have art on it, what would you like to see it? Presumably the wall isn't going to get painted. It's something that's going to be kind of fastened to the wall. I just wonder what you'd like to see on the sea wall there. And has anybody asked you, by the way, if you want the sea wall extended all the way along the promenade? And it's been like that for years, many, many years, hasn't it? And I don't know what you think about the other one, the one that goes from the War Memorial north, where you can't see anything. Anybody, any children in pushchairs, anybody in a wheelchair can't see anything. You just see a big wall, like the Berlin Wall. But if you've got any thoughts on that, by all means do get in touch. What would you like to see on the seawall? Would you like to see it improved with art? Do you want to see it extended? And do you think the council, the city council, is making the right decision, extending the wall all the way along the promenade? Regarding pets, now this is something that's come up. Pets have feelings too. They have anxiety attacks like humans, says Julie. Well, I was told that pets own you, you don't own them. Well, this is the story about a group of animal fosterers on the Isle of Man who are petitioning for domestic animals to be reclassified as sentient beings, feeling beings, and not property. Now, in its current form, Manx animal welfare legislation says animals are property or objects. Now this, the group Manx Animal Welfare legislation, says it's not safe for domestic pets who may be in abusive homes, and adding that animals can sense and feel just like humans. This is Andy and Pete, the petitioners.
Modern science is very, very clear. Animals feel pain, fear, comfort, joy, attachment, just like we do. Their brains process emotions through the same structures as humans. Min's law brings legislation in line with science and gives authority clearer powers to intervene when an animal is suffering.
So with the petition, it's also going to allow authorities to act sooner rather than later. So then the animals aren't put through further suffering or detriment to their mental well-being or physical well-being.
It's kind of reclassification of animals. It's preventing unsafe returns. So that's one of the main things, is that an animal which is in danger or potential from harm the environment's going to go into, it's stopping that from happening.
Now, why is this such an important issue for you all? I understand you all are fosterers as well.
A lot of people on the Isle of Man know Vin. Now, Vin wasn't treated as a living being with feelings. He was treated like absolutely nothing. Our current law states that animals are property, but property can't be replaced. So sentient being can't be replaced. So that's what we're trying to do. So Vin's law closes that gap. It allows early intervention, clear reporting and stronger protection.
It's a difficult one. I know when the police get involved with animal abuse cases, they try their best to help and to do the right thing, but their hands are tied because the law currently states that animals, domestic animals like cats and dogs, are basically property. So they've got as much rights as a pair of shoes. If an owner who abuses a dog or a cat insists that they want to keep that animal, the police's hands are tied.
So in short, animals feel, they experience, they suffer. And recognising them as sentient beings, the law means that their emotional needs finally matter legally.
Well, this matters to an awful lot of people. What do you think about animals being considered property, which is what they are at the moment? They're property. Or objects. We certainly have a number of pets on the island, lots of them. So for an owner to hear that a dog or cat can be classed as the same category as a chair or a T-shirt may not be easy, but under the law, that's what they are. Your best friend, your dog, your cat, whatever you have, is the same in the law as a chair or a T-shirt or a kettle, whatever it is. Pets are classed as property under the law, and as a result, ownership rights can play a significant role in decisions involving animals. For example, if an owner euthanizes their own animal, this would not necessarily be considered illegal, provided that the animal didn't suffer unnecessarily and relevant welfare legislation was not breached. Well, that information from the Manx SPCA. A message in from Daphne just said, our dogs, parrot and fish are considered very much part of our family as far as I'm concerned. They're much nicer and kinder than humans. Pets don't have a spiteful bone in their body. And a message in from James regarding Classic TT and MGP. It's incredible to me that after almost 120 years, there are no proper road crossings at the top of Victoria Road to Governor's Road. There's an obvious candidate in the east. Also, I recollect in previous years there was a police traffic control at the bottom of Summer Hill to ease the chaos. Now, it's just chaos. A message in from 313 who says, Andy, DNR was added to the records of two elderly relatives who were frail and costing health money for hospital stays and medications. In one case, it was only when they were discharged and seen by their GP, it was found that DNR was on their health record. In my opinion, this practice is an unannounced cost-saving policy, says G. Well, if you've got some information about that, G, I'd really like to see it. If you've got anything on paper that can prove all that. I'm not doubting. I'd just like to see something concrete about it. But DNR does... it excites all sorts of opinion, and why wouldn't it? It's something that's very important. I'm dead against the painting of the sea wall, says Juan. It's a ridiculous thing to waste money on. Taxpayers or ratepayers shouldn't be supporting local artists. I like the new concrete wall and don't see what's wrong with it. My opinion. Well, you're very welcome to have your opinion as well. Why not build the sea wall? This is from 140. Build the seawall along the roadside of the prom. That way we can walk along and view the sea and protect the roadway. Even put it along the centre of the prom and have one side for walkers and the other for bikes, says Tony. It's a thought. No, I don't want that awful wall going right along the promenade, says Mary. As you say, children and wheelchair users can't see anything except a wall. Please don't extend the wall any further, whoever decided to do the wall anyway. I believe it was DOI. If they're in government, please let us know who they are so they don't get elected, says Mary. Well, they've decided it. They say that it's to protect us because obviously they say that the weather's getting worse, whether it's global warming, climate change or whatever it is. The trouble is that this beach is building up on the other side. It's getting higher and higher and higher. At some point it'll go over the top, or maybe they'll clear it away. But if they cleared it away anyway in the first place, maybe that wouldn't have to happen because the seawall would just do its job. Anyway, if the seawall is extended, and at the moment it's by the War Memorial, if it's extended the other way and it goes down to the sea terminal, what would you think about that? Well, certainly they wouldn't have to replace all the rusting railings, so that would save some money. But what would it look like? I mean, really, what would it look? At the moment, you can walk along that delightful promenade and get a view of the sea. I mean, admittedly, there are some pillars there, but there are railings in between. So, what do you think about that? What do you think should happen? And in the meantime, they're painting it, getting some artwork. We'll see. Hey, Bonzo's on now. Hello, Bonzo.
Hello, yes. Just wanting to discuss animal rights, actually, or animal rights within law. Firstly, when it comes to cats, I always thought that cats were their own agents. They weren't actually, you weren't actually legally responsible for what a cat did.
Well, you certainly. I mean, you never. Yeah, you never had to have a license either, did you?
No. So I think cats are regarded as free agents in that issue. So owners don't have as such a liability for their actions. Whereas dogs you can train, which is why you have a dog license, and you don't have a fish license or anything like that. But animals, yes. When we talk about sort of sentience of animals and consciousness of animals and such, well, a lot of the time people go, yes, they don't have that because they don't think like us and they don't act like us, so they can't be as intelligent as us. Well, no, that's not how it works. I mean, octopuses, for example, besides being able to determine which team will go through in various rounds of the World Cup, are extraordinarily intelligent animals. And yet, of course, we fish them for food. Indeed, there's a plan, I think, which I think has been rejected, thankfully, of having a big octopus farm where these poor things could be put in a huge crowd and then dealt with like other sort of farmyard animals. But then when we look at pigs, for example, pigs have been displayed as having various abilities of a 4-year-old, 5-year-old. They've had pigs play video games quite successfully. A collie, for example, has cognitive abilities of something like a 3-year-old. It can do things like if you draw a ball and say, go get the ball, it will go and find a ball and come back with it, rather than if you show it a photograph of a ball or show it another ball and say, go a ball. Now, that's a big leap in kind of intellectual processing, but it can look at a sort of image of something, which actually isn't a sort of photographic image, one example of it, and then go, oh, that's a ball. They haven't drawn it very well, but that's a ball, so I've got to go off and get a ball. They're demonstrating reasoning at those kind of levels, but it's again the old joke about exams for everyone climb a tree, and it's an elephant that has to do it and a shark that has to do it. You obviously can't climb the tree. So it depends on how you're looking at these things and how you assess them. Now, given that, and given that we're learning all the time that animals have far more in the way of consciousness and, to some extent, self-awareness, then obviously we've got to start thinking about whether they should have rights. This has been discussed for quite some time. The first person to discuss it was a philosopher called Peter Singer, who was the big guru of animal rights in the 1970s. The book Beginning Ethics, and another one he wrote on animal rights, very much influential in that. So yes, I think the law needs to examine these things.
Well, as you say,
and possibly has to come up to date with it.
As you say, Bonzo, animals. I mean, from our point of view, we come to the conclusion animals don't have the capacity for rational thought. However, their instinct may be a lot sharper than ours.
Well, it's not merely a case of instinct. We have instinct. You go behind someone and go boo very loudly, and they jump up. That goes back to millions of years ago when saber-toothed tigers sort of roamed around thinking humans would be a good idea for dinner. So instinct and stuff like that are other things. But also the idea that, as I say, it's about people saying that what is human is the standards that the non-human should actually meet in order to be treated with any rights or anything of that nature. And if a pig is 4 or 5, has the cognitive abilities of a 4 or 5-year-old, well, why do we, take it to the slaughterhouse and make sausages out of it? You could do that with a 4-year-old.
So do you think then,
would, so.
Of course, do you think then that the law needs changing so that they're not property or objects, they are sentient beings for this in law?
Well, I think they certainly shouldn't be property. Whether you can then classify them as sentient, in that they have a notion of themselves in the present, in the past, in the future and such. That's slightly more difficult. But there should be, I think, a presumption that they may be, and therefore we have to have a think about how we treat them. And therefore, if we are going to hold ourselves to a particular standard of not ranching 4-year-olds to make sausages out of them, then we have to apply those standards to the animals on which we share the planet with. I mean, after all, it's their home too.
Good point. Well made. Thanks, Bonzo. Good to hear from you.
Okay, then. Cheers, back.
28 minutes past 12. I got a message in from Cheryl who just said, yes, they certainly shouldn't be classed as objects as well. And certainly, as for... she said, Andy, as for dogs not having rational thought, how come they can be guide dogs and drugs dogs and police dogs and mountain rescue dogs? Yeah, point taken. This is the point from the Manx animal welfare legislation. And Andy and Pete Nolan were talking about this, about Vin's law, what the changes mean. Because at the moment, domestic pets who may be in abusive homes are classed as property or objects, and certainly, let's just say, if a relationship splits up, the dog or the cat is classed as a property, or like a chair or a microwave oven. I wonder what you think about this. If you're a pet owner, a pet lover for that, I just wonder what you think about this. And do get in touch. Text, email, call, WhatsApp.
If you have children, pets or a house, talk to Peace of Mind about a will or power of attorney, which will help family members when it matters. Prices from $199 plus VAT. Find us on Facebook or call 632 610.
Ramsey Care Products, proudly part of the community at St Paul's Square in the north of the island, supplying affordable, quality disability and mobility products. Call 627 177. Ramsey Care Products, affordable mobility solutions for you.
Carpetland, the carpet specialist with the island's best value carpets in stock, often fitted within a week. Furnitureland, for three-piece suites, dining and living room furniture, and a selection of amazing beds. Carpetland and Furnitureland, West Street, Ramsey.
Important dates are coming up for the House of Keys general election. If you want to vote by post, apply early so your ballot pack arrives in good time. You can also hear from your electoral candidates to find out what they stand for before polling day, the 24th of September. Pre-election meetings will be held in each constituency from the 7th to the 18th of September. Visit elections.gov.im to check postal vote deadlines and download the application, and to find your local pre-election meeting details. You can also email elections@gov.im or call 685 754.
Check out the Groudle Glen Railway summer timetable for some great days out. Visit the Clifftop Tea Rooms and Sales Emporium, book a special steamed tea and join our free family train spotting challenge. Hop on the line that goes uphill to the sea, the Groudle Glen Railway. For times, see ggr.org.uk or visit on Facebook.
The previous message was brought to you by QVH, the island's premier serviced offices and co-working space in the heart of Douglas. Call 639 940 for more information or visit qvhpremierofficespace.com.
The House of Keys general election is on Thursday, the 24th of September, and Manx Radio is helping you get to know the people asking for your vote. From Monday, the 31st of August, join us for our live constituency debates, hosted at Studio 1 by ELS Group, where every candidate standing will be invited to take part. Want to be there? Well, just visit the Manx Radio election mini-site, find the date of your constituency debate, and apply for your free audience ticket. Find all the details at manxradio.com.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
28 minutes before 1. Just a quick note about the post office. The post office has announced that they're reinstating the US service in line with the new customs requirements following system and process changes. Manx customers can once again send parcels containing goods to American destinations. So that reflects changes affecting postal operators worldwide, part of the post office's wider work to modernise services and keep international services reliable and ensure that services remain compliant and sustainable. So you can now send stuff to American destinations. Customers sending goods to a number of European destinations will also notice changes the way that customs, import VAT and other charges are handled. Where applicable, charges will be calculated and payable when postage is bought, helping customers understand the full costs before sending and reducing the risk of unexpected charges for the recipients. To support these new customs requirements, all items containing goods being sent internationally must be sent as a parcel. These services will be available online and through post offices at the headquarters in Douglas, Strand Street, Douglas, Station Road, Port Erin, and the Parade in Castletown, also Athol Street, Peel, and Parliament Street in Ramsey. Here's Dewan now with us. Hi, Dewan.
Hey, Andy, I think I'm going to change my mind about standing. I think I'm going to stand in Douglas, Ramsey, Peel and Rushen. That'll pay the house off quicker, won't it? This is quite a bizarre thing, isn't it? I've never seen this happen before. They've got a candidate standing in for both Douglas East and Douglas South, I seem to see. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. It's the man who's also the commissioner in Ramsey and a councillor in Douglas, Arwood Hall. Yes. Well, apparently he knows what he's doing. It's all perfectly legal.
It is. He's found some kind of loophole there, which I find quite interesting. The question I'd ask there is, does he get two wages for that?
I don't know whether he can take both seats. I don't know. We've not got to the bottom of that, but that's the situation. Mr. Hall is standing here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. I mean, if you actually got voted in both constituencies, whether you're entitled to do that or not. It's quite interesting.
Before we go any further, let me say, I'll have to do this. In Douglas East, also standing Andrew Foster, Joni Farragher, Claire Barber and Dave Mackey, and also standing in Douglas, where was it? South, I think he's standing, isn't it? Is it South?
South, yeah.
Yeah, South. Also standing in Douglas South, Claire Christian, Livia Leonarduzzi and Sarah Maltby as well.
Do you want me to mention all the others as well? So
no, please don't. But the good thing is, I mean, hey, you have to say, as somebody who's thought this through, and I was obviously checked, he must know what he's doing.
I know. I just find it interesting. I find it very interesting. That would be a way of getting our MHKs down to 12, wouldn't it?
Everybody standing everywhere.
Yeah, we get our numbers down to 12. Just popping on to just back on yesterday's briefly. When I was talking to Chris Stockport, is it Stockport or Stockdale?
Stockport.
Yeah, and I'm just again just inquiring there. You said that people who were coming in. And I'm not talking about people here in good positions with private healthcare. I'm talking about people who are coming in lower paid jobs and dependencies. And he said that people would have to stay on the dental list for the same length of time as Manx people. So that would be maybe 3 to 4 years. I don't know. I doubt that, Andy. Somehow, I seem to doubt that is the case. I don't know if any other people have any other opinions on that, but I seem to doubt that.
Well, if anybody's got any concrete evidence about anybody that's queue jumping anything, then we'd like to hear about that. Certainly.
Yeah. I just think it would be unfair for locals who endlessly. I hear people who and business people here who own businesses who can't get on the dental waiting list anywhere. So I would find it a little bit unnerving that people are coming in and getting straight on the list, should we say. And you were talking about the seawall again there.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I know we were talking to Natalie Byron-Tier last week, and she said that they'd taken the sand level down. I mentioned 8 foot with the sand level. I don't actually remember that happening at that stage. What do they call it? Rescoping or rescaping. I know they've dragged sand bits and pieces, but I don't remember them ever taking it down to that level. Do you? I can't remember that.
No, but there was the digger there a few weeks ago, wasn't there?
There was, yeah, but I mean, if you look at that, it's not made any difference to the areas where the problem is. So, I mean, my point on that was, people talking about the sea wall and not taking it any further, which I agree with, is have some kind of scheme to take that sand right down. I mean, if you stand at low tide at the water's edge and look up, the rise must be 8 to 10 foot there now, Andy. The rise going up to on the sand. So if that was down, surely the principle of the seawall would work efficiently, because you've got the turnover at the top of the seawall, which you get everywhere that you go. That's a natural way of pushing the water back. So at the moment, it obviously can't work. It just can't work efficiently. You've got a 1 foot or 2 foot drop.
I mean, at the back of all this is the fact that Douglas Beach, which at one time was an iconic beach, jam-packed with people, has virtually disappeared as a tourist attraction. So the capital of the Isle of Man, the one that people see first of all, has never more than a couple of dozen people on it at any one time. And I find that sad, Ewan.
Oh, absolutely. And as I've said before, that links into Douglas having a lack of identity now. It used to be the place where everyone stayed, and now it's apartments. So there's very few hotels on the promenade now. So there's nothing else there that attracts people either. There's no ice cream parlours, ice cream kiosks anywhere along there much, no deck chairs.
Well, Natalie Byron-Tier, she said that kind of north of, when you get up to Queen's Prom, that's the only bit really that you've got of any sort of beach. That's got a few palm trees and there's got some beach huts and this, that and the other. That's really the only bit that there is. But everywhere else, it's not a patch on what it used to be.
No, none whatsoever. And I mean, we had thousands of bed spaces there then. So, people are dispersed a lot more now with, people like island escapes, and they're living around the island in different places. So, yeah. I mean, the atmosphere at Peel and Port Erin, you go down there on a nice evening, it's absolutely fantastic. You've got your ice cream parlours open, you've got stage on the beach, you've got everything happening there. But the way things are in Douglas, it's not going to change if nothing's done. But I think the first thing to do regarding the seawall and maybe making the beach more attractive is to bring that sand level down, at least try it. Get that sand level right down and see how long it lasts.
Well, you can understand the councillors and the officials at Douglas City Council. They may say, right, we're going to rescope the beach, we're going to landscape the beach and spend, it'll be hundreds of thousands of pounds, and it might not work. And then everybody will point at them and say, well, you wasted all the money. What do you think?
Well, yeah, but is the same thing going to happen if they build the wall? That's going to be millions of pounds rather than hundreds of thousands. And will that work efficiently? If the sand keeps building up and up and up, are we just going to have the same problem in another 40 years? And why are you going to build another wall?
Opinions divided on whether the groins work. Now, everybody at the council seems to think the groins won't work, but they used to work, didn't they?
I think they seem to work efficiently. And I know we spoke about this, and I'm sure it's quite right. I think Wilf Young spoke about that, bless him, about the difference now in the way that the tide comes in because of the French Pier design on the pier. Yeah. So it brings a difference in there. I think surely you've got to look at other seaside resorts that have still got groins and ask them if they're working. Yeah. And how much would it cost to put groins back in? Surely it can't be that expensive to bang some groins in and place them back in and see if they work. It can't be massively expensive to do that.
Well, again, everything's going to have a cost, and anybody in public life, any elected official, always stands open to ridicule if they get something wrong. Anybody going into Keys this September will need to know what they're going in for, because if you get something right, nobody normally notices. Get it wrong, and everybody will point at you.
Yeah, and that's not changed through time, has it? I think we probably have some brave people back in the Victorian age that took a stance and done things and made the island what it was. It takes someone to stand out there and do it, doesn't it?
Well, that's the point, that the Victorians didn't brook any opposition. The Victorians decided what they were going to do, and they did it, and it cost an absolute fortune. Some things worked, and some things didn't. The Douglas Cable Tramway didn't work, cost a fortune to do it, and it was a good idea, but it didn't work. So, the Victorians did some things that worked and others that didn't.
Yeah, I think a lot of that's to do with finance as well, wasn't it? I think the bank, was it Dumbbell's Bank that was banking at the time?
That was,
yeah.
That didn't help.
There was a lot more involved with that, wasn't
it? All right, Juan, we got to go. All right, good to have a good weekend. Thanks for being with us. 17 minutes before 1, and I want to go to Steve now. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Andy. How are you today?
Very well, yeah. What's on your mind?
Just a point of view, if I may, Andy. This thing about private patients wards.
Yeah.
I think in the current market, we're aware that there's an awful lot of people on waiting lists and everything else. Now, if they introduce the private patients ward again, surely this is going to have a knock-on effect with people who are waiting for these operations.
Well, we don't know because we haven't had one since COVID. Used to be
what I'm saying.
Yeah, the big ward at the back. But then again, I think that was always used. I think they were often moving people from other wards in the hospital to the private patients unit. My point is, if we're going to have one, we might as well have one. There are, up and down Athol Street and in the banks and the insurance companies, lots of people have got private health insurance, and at the moment we're missing a trick because they're all going to Liverpool.
Right, but what about at the cost of local people who can't have these operations, who are on a waiting list, who can't get seen to? Some people allegedly have been on there for months and months and months. If you're not careful, you could end up inadvertently creating a two-tier system again. And again, you're giving more money to the doctors. Surely the priority must be, your private operations can happen once you've cleared the backlog of your your people waiting to be seen.
Well, that was one of
that would make more sense.
Yeah, that was one of the points of contention, in that there were obviously doctors who did work for Manx Care, but also did private work and obviously boosted their income. And the story was that when all the private work went, some consultants went, Steve. They just left because they couldn't top up their income by doing private work.
Yeah, but again, surely, the waiting list is not a new thing. They've been around for a long time. The priority, in my opinion, has to be is that, yes, you can do your private work, but let's get rid of the waiting lists, first of all. How many people, I don't know, which need, say, a knee operation or something which is not specialised, can have it on the island, and somebody else who's in Athol Street or whatever takes priority, and that person has to wait 6 months.
Yeah. It's all down to money in the end, Steve, isn't it?
It is, but, that's the hospital all over, Andy, isn't it?
All right. Thanks for calling, Steve. Have a good weekend.
And you, take care, Andy.
All right, it's 1:45.
We make oil heating easy with our range of services. Whether it's our free smart tank monitoring systems or just our efficient all-island deliveries, Ellen Vannin Fuels has it covered. Call us on 844 to find out more.
Oh, June, 1 minute we're roasting hot in the conservatory and the next minute we're freezing cold.
Well, missus, you know how a hut keeps you cool in the summer and warm in the winter? Well, a solid conservatory roof from Spectrum Windows does the same job.
Great solution. Tell you what, Jeffrey needs a little bit of work on top. Do you think they could help him too?
Only if they've started selling wigs.
Transform your conservatory with a Guardian or Ultra Frame solid roof. Visit Spectrum Windows, the showroom, Derby Road, Ramsey, or call 817777.
Welcome to the Miller Chaps of Ramsey Summer Sale, where you'll find fabulous reductions throughout the store, from beds and flooring to sofas, cane furniture and accessories, rugs, pictures, mirrors and even wallpapers. Plus, the friendly Miller Chaps team are here as always with a warm welcome and expert help and advice when needed. Don't miss the Miller Chaps of Ramsey Summer Sale, now on.
Creating a home where you'll love to be. Miller Chaps of Ramsey.
Simply income protection from Kestrel Insurance. A choice of benefits. Simple underwriting and peace of mind with a regular income for up to 2 years if you're unable to work due to illness or injury. Kestrel Insurance is registered with the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority.
Ramsey MHK Alex Allinson is stepping down from the Keys after 2 terms representing the town. He reflects on why government has failed to deliver over the past 5 years, tells us why Manx Care is still the best option for delivering healthcare, and some of the fundamental differences that led to his departure from Council of Ministers. He gives some good advice to candidates and acknowledges that he will miss politics. That's Perspective this Sunday at 12 on Manx Radio with me, Phil Gaughan. Did the good doctor deliver the right medicine for the island? Were his political differences with the Chief Minister really the cause of the initial bold aspiration of this government not being delivered?
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
A note in from Bill who says DNR work for a family member of ours. I'd also consider it should be the need. I would also consider it should the need arise. I don't believe it's put on people's files for nefarious reasons. Maybe the patient asked for it but didn't tell their family. This is DNR notes on medical notes. DNR do not resuscitate. If there's a demand for private hospital treatment, then surely a hospital should be built by the insurance companies to supply the need, says this correspondent. We never know, maybe they are doing, but previously there was a private patient's wing. Now, I'm assuming that Manx Care got paid for that, or they charged per patient for that. So it wasn't free. I don't think it was for charity. If people have got private health cover, then presumably the insurance companies will be shelling out for that. But who knows whether somebody's in the process of building a private hospital. Hello, until my dog phones and makes an appointment at the vet, if they're feeling ill, pays the subsequent bills, then I'll consider it my pet. Loved and cared for by me. I believe there are sufficient laws to protect animals, says this correspondent. And Karen said, my cat knows what time he has breakfast, dinner, tea and supper. I'm sure he has an inbuilt watch. That's Karen. There's Frank now. Hi, Frank.
Hi, Andy. Not seen you for a bit. How are you doing? Okay.
Very well. What about yourself?
I'm fine, thanks, yeah. What I want to ask, Andy, is I'm not sure. Can you tell me why or what was the reason they built the wall on the prom? What was their reason?
climate change and the fact that the sand was getting higher and higher and the storms were flooding the prom, I think.
That's always happened over millennia. But because I remember in 61 when I first came here, there were 20-odd steps going down to the beach. They're still there. And what will happen now, and I've had some experience now at my age. I've been here for 90 years, so I've got a little bit of experience. The wall that they built now, all that'll happen, the sand higher and higher and higher, and in another few years they'll have to build another wall on top of that. Because all they need to do is take the sand away instead of building walls. And they have to do that every so often, like they used to do.
Frank, that's hundreds of thousands of tons of sand, though.
Yeah, but we've got a big ocean to dump it in, or we've got plenty of land to put it on. I mean, they've let it get to a situation where it's a big job. If they'd done what we're supposed to do, and every couple of years clear it off the beach, and also the seaweed, that used to be used by the farmers at one time, didn't it?
Well, yeah, and you get different answers when you ask about the seaweed. It used to be that the farmers didn't want the seaweed because there was plastic in it. The farmers didn't want the seaweed because they tested for E. coli. We don't know, really, whether or not farmers do actually want the seaweed. I think some farmers do take seaweed from around the island, but I don't think from Douglas.
Is Douglas worse than anywhere else on the island then? Well, because I spoke to a diver who'd been diving here for many years, and he told me some time ago, he was talking about it, and he said, all you see is the water. He said, but there used to be, when I first dived in 20-odd years ago, he said the kelp was growing very, very high, and it stretched for miles and miles, this kelp. Now it's just a desert. There's nothing left. So where's it gone?
So anyway, you think the answer is to dig, because as you say, I remember 15-odd steps around the Savoy to get down to the beach.
Yeah.
Because they're all buried now.
They should not build that wall. It's a stupid idea, because they're going to have to build another one, aren't they? When it gets a bit higher.
Yeah. Okay.
So the answer is to dig it away and not build walls.
All right. Good to hear from you, Frank. Okay. All right, see you soon. Take care now. Good afternoon, Andy. This is from Anthony. Humans use words to form basic and complex narrative thoughts. A cat's stream of consciousness is sounds, pictures, feelings, urges and scents, says Anthony. And Francis is on now. Hi, Francis.
Hello, just a quick one, Andy. The people who are doing this petition regarding the animals, is there a way of contacting them or by email to put somebody's name on the petition if they're not on this doing it online? I've got a few friends who would join that petition.
Well, yeah, you at the moment it's a change.org thing online at the moment. But if you want to email me, if you want to email me, I'll try and find the telephone number and find out and email that back to you.
That's lovely. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay. Thanks for calling. Okay, it's all right. Andy Wint at manxradio.com. Andy Wint at manxradio.com. Thank you, Francis. And if you want more details of this petition, Vin's Law to recognise animals as living beings, not property on the Isle of Man, if you go to manxradio.com, go to our news page, there's a link through to the petition. There's a change.org petition. Here's Julian now. Hi, Julian.
Hi, Andy. I know we're nearly at the end, so I'll go quick. Just a quick one before DNR. Yes, about animal protection, but it's mindful. Oregon had IP28, which was Initiative Petition 28, which was people for the elimination of animal cruelty exemptions, and they wanted to stop all hunting, fishing, livestock, and slaughter. A lot of the money was given by PETA, or PETA, which is the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, which most people think are pretty extremist. So we don't want this hijacked to be another attack on us having meat and dairy and all the rest of it, because if that had got through, it would have finished Oregon's agriculture.
Haven't they just put some posters up at the sea terminal, Peter, I think?
Yeah, I know. They're based in London as well. So if anyone's... Yes, let's protect pets, absolutely. However, be mindful that they tried to sort of enhance this to include all slaughtering of animals and all sorts, which basically will turn us all into vegans, theoretically. Just quick on the DNR. 2022, the UK Care Quality Commission published a report that stated that 1 in 3 patients had no idea that they had a DNR notice placed on them without their knowledge. And it was about the same for the relatives and the carers. So that's 1 in 3, and that was back in 2022. January 23, BBC Scotland reported with the headline about Marie McLean. I've been given a do not resuscitate order, but I want to live. She had no idea. ITV News last year in November did a headline, repugnant. Do not resuscitate orders being given to learning disabled people without consent. So it just makes you wonder, Andy, if that was 4 years ago, what is the rate now? Because it's hard to find the information because they don't kind of even look to see. Do you know what I mean? There's no published thing since this CQC commission report.
But surely all these things, they're all attributable. Surely they'll be able to find out who's doing that. It's not, this is not a minor infraction, is it?
No, it turns out that, sometimes you have, as far as I understand, on the Isle of Man, you've actually got to ring up records at Noble's Hospital, the health service here. And you have to ask them specifically, can you please let me know? Because they're assigned at the hospital and they're separate from the GP record. So your GP may not even know, even if you ask him or her. So you have to call records and ask for your one specifically for yourself, and then they'll issue you with whether you've got one or not, which is a bit worrying, isn't it, that there seems to be two separate data streams here for DNRs.
Well, it's something that certainly needs to be got to the bottom of anyway. All right, but Julian, good to hear from you.
Thanks, Andy.
Have a good weekend. Thanks.
Cheers, have a good weekend.
As a nurse of 47 years, why would anybody want a frail, elderly, unwell relative resuscitated anyway, says D. And it will most likely be unsuccessful or leave the person in a confused and agitated state for a short period before they would die. DNR, my word. You can be prosecuted for cruelty to animals, but you can't be prosecuted for cruelty to an armchair, says Paul in Castleton. I think we know what you're saying. They should just remove the sand on the beach and build up and expose 8 to 10 feet of the original seawall, says Sean. Then it would all be solved. That's it. Back with another open line on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend, and thanks to Howie on the phones today.
WINT